Imagine for a moment that learning a language was like learning to take apart a radio, just without getting shocked. And imagine that instead of spending hours in painful classes trying to look smart, you only needed 15 minutes a day. This isn't some mystical promise from a spiritual guru with a relaxing voice and purple lights behind it. It's physics applied to your mind. Consistency plus understanding equals the miracle of the human brain, or as I like to call it, using your brain the way it was actually designed to be used, instead of treating it like a walking flash drive. Pay close attention now, because this matters. Most people try to learn a language by memorizing rules and word lists. That's like trying to learn how to swim by reading a book on the beach. You might look busy, you might even sweat, but once you're in the ocean, you sink like a very ambitious rock. The key isn't memorizing, it's understanding. The brain hates useless effort. It loves patterns, connections, and living context. So if you want to learn a language, the game is not repeating words like a proud little parrot. The game is creating meaning, even if at first it feels like someone threw random syllables at your face. Now you might be thinking, but I don't understand anything in the beginning. Great. Congratulations, you're alive, not an encyclopedia. Confusion isn't the enemy, it's the lobby of understanding. That's where you train your brain to say, relax, I'll figure this out. This is the fatal mistake most people make. They run away from confusion. But you should embrace confusion the way a scientist embraces a strange equation. Because the moment it starts making sense, your brain pops a bottle of champagne and goes, I knew I was brilliant. Learning a language isn't about talent. It's about building familiarity, listening to and reading the same short passage several times, letting your mind chew on it quietly, the same way it processes anything important. And here comes your first epiphany. Speaking is a consequence. It's not the start of the process. It's the bonus that comes when you're so soaked in the language that it slips out of your mouth without asking for permission. Now let's shape all this into a routine. A routine so simple that the only way to fail is not showing up for 15 minutes. And I know you can show up. Imagine opening a simple book in the language you want to learn. Nothing epic, nothing like starting Russian with Dostoevsky on day one, unless you enjoy emotional collapse served with a cup of tears. You pick a tiny passage, not a full chapter, not a 2-hour lesson, 30 seconds of text, maybe 1 minute of audio. You'll look at it, listen to it, and think, I didn't understand anything. Excellent. Your neurons just woke up. The brain hates the unknown, and that's exactly what forces it to learn. You read it once, slowly, then you listen, then you read again, and the words start to look a little familiar. Still can't speak? Perfect. Richard Feynman didn't know physics when he was born either, and that turned out fine. With each repetition, something magical starts happening. Loose pieces begin to organize themselves. A word here, a phrase there. The mind creates hooks. This is real learning. Not memorizing, recognize. When the brain recognizes, it keeps. Notice something. You're not memorizing, you're not suffering, you're not feeling stupid. You're exploring. Explorers don't recite lists of trees, they enter the forest. And now comes the point where most people quit. But I can't stand repeating the same thing over and over. If you think like this, congratulations, you've just described the exact reason you've never gotten great at anything before. Smart repetition is like watering a plant. You don't dump 10 liters of water at once and hope for the best. You water a little every day, 15 minutes. It's not about quantity, it's about continuity. Now let's get to the method, exactly what to do in those 15 minutes. Before you even start the clock, one rule. Your material must have text plus audio. No audio only in the beginning unless you want to rely on luck and chaos. Now we start, your actual daily ritual. And yes, ritual. If it were just a technique, everyone would use it. A ritual has presence, it has weight, it has that quiet sense of this matters. So do this with me now, mentally if you're on the bus, physically if you have enough dignity and privacy at the moment. Minute 1, brain priming. Don't pick up the material yet. Take 3 slow breaths. This isn't mysticism, it's neural signaling. You're telling your brain, stop, we're learning now. Without this, you study with the same focus as someone reading a medicine label after too much coffee. Let me ask you something. Have you noticed how much better your brain works when it knows where it's heading? That's the explorer mode. If you don't activate it, your brain stays in survival mode, and everything feels way harder than it should. Minutes 2 and 3, light exposure. Now yes, grab your tiny passage.
30 seconds of text or 1 minute of audio, nothing more. You're not here to prove intelligence, you're here to build controlled familiarity. Read without trying to understand everything. Look at it the way a scientist looks at a strange phenomenon, curious, not desperate, like someone who says, interesting, even when they have no idea what they're seeing. This is where 90% of people quit, because they want to understand before they look. But in the real world, understanding comes after looking, after repeating, after looking again.
This is your advantage now. You know confusion is a doorway, not a failure. So read. No pressure, no translating yet, just exposure. 2 minutes and done. Yes, done. Want to continue? Great. Can't? No problem, because tomorrow you're back, and your brain will be waiting for you, and curious like a cat chasing a laser. From here on, we start building progressive comprehension, one step at a time. Mountains are for the ego. Staircases are for people who actually reach the top. Get ready. The next step is where your brain starts recognizing patterns almost without your permission. Now that you've looked without panicking, we go deeper. Minutes 4, 5, and 6. Brain-text synchronization. Read the same passage again. Yes, the same one. This time with the audio playing. Read and listen at the same time. Your brain will freak out a bit, like it's trying to watch a movie while solving an equation, but then it thinks, wait, I know this. I think I'm getting it. That tiny spark is the miracle. It's the moment when neurons whisper, connect. Yes, almost. You're not trying to speak yet. You're not memorizing it. You're not torturing yourself with grammar. You're absorbing rhythm, tone, sound, movement. Think of it like tuning an instrument before playing, or listening to music before trying to sing. And yes, I know, your ego wants to impress the world and start forming sentences right now, but your brain is, and saying, relax. Let me teach you the difference between sound and noise first. You're training perception. Speaking comes later. Understanding comes now. By the end of 6 minutes, you've seen the text twice, heard it twice, and your brain is doing its secret magic, turning chaos into meaning. And here's what you're avoiding: the fatal trap of language learning, thinking that learning is collecting words. Learning is organizing meaning. Most people try to store loose words like someone trying to store dust in a drawer. You're building structure. Congratulations. You're learning like a scientist, not a parrot. From here, we'll reinforce that structure the way you build a rocket, in layers. Now we reach the point where your brain truly starts working on its own. You've read the text, you've heard it with the text. Now let's test your mind without training wheels. Minutes 7, 8, 9, and 10. Just listening. No looking at the text, no reading, no panic, just listen. Now yes, I know, your mind is about to tell you that you're terrible at this, that you didn't understand anything, and that maybe learning Esperanto would have been easier than this. Ignore that emotional child inside you. It's just confused by the effort. Do this with me right now, mentally. Close your eyes for 2 seconds and imagine you're listening to someone speak in another language. But now, instead of trying to translate everything like a panicked lunatic, you simply listen. Notice the rhythm, the cadence, the melody of the sentences, the way words begin and end. If you try to translate everything, you fail and you suffer. But if you observe it like a scientist watching atoms dance, or like someone listening to gossip with zero context but full curiosity, your brain starts to deduce meaning. That's how babies learn. Have you ever seen a baby say, "Father, please present me the full verb conjugation chart"? Of course not. They observe, imitate, throw sounds into the air, and let chaos work in their favor. Now actually do this. Take a phrase in another language that you roughly understand. Repeat it in your mind without translating it word for word. Just let the phrase exist. That's your training for today. Simple, direct, ridiculously effective. 4 minutes of this and your mind becomes a pattern-detecting machine. The brain learns the same way muscles do, under light, steady tension, never under torture. Now comes the part that makes every adult nervous and every child delighted: imitating sounds. Minutes 11, 12, and 13. Repetition with intention, not perfection. But hold on. No inventing sentences. No trying to be Shakespeare in Mandarin. You're only going to repeat the phrases or words you heard, nothing more. And before your brain tries to escape through the nearest window, think about this. You've imitated accents before, just for fun. You've repeated songs without knowing what they meant. You've memorized movie lines, which means you're already good at this. You just forgot.
So let's run a quick experiment. Say this quietly or mentally if you're in public and don't want to look like a malfunctioning Russian spy. Repetition isn't stupidity, it's neural engineering. Good. Now another. Pick a simple word in another language you know. Merci, hola, grazie, hello, konnichiwa, and say it 3 times with intentional rhythm. Feel that shift? Your brain starts to play, and when the mind plays, it learns faster. Do you learn better when you're tense or when you're curious and relaxed? Exactly. So right now, choose any word in the language you're learning and say it 3 times slowly and once quickly. Do it now. Yes, now, not later. Felt that? Congratulations. That was a real training. Don't try to sound native yet. Try to sound like someone who isn't afraid to learn. Fluency doesn't come to perfectionists. It comes to persistent, awkward people who keep showing up. Now for the final 2 minutes, the goal that turns this technique into a powerful process. Minutes 14 and 15, minimal explanation plus tracking.
You'll do 2 things. 1, summarize what you understood in 1 sentence. Doesn't matter how simple it is. It can be, I understood 1 word. I caught the rhythm. I noticed a repeated verb form. I didn't understand anything, but my brain recognized sounds. Any of these is a neural victory, because whoever explains understands, and whoever tries to explain and fails discovers exactly what to improve next. That is literally the essence of the Feynman technique. Now the second part, 2, mark your progress. A slash, a check mark, a simple done. No complex journals, no spreadsheets, just a 1 in your physical or mental calendar. You want the secret of progress? The brain loves endings. And when you close a cycle, it rewards you and says, let's do it again tomorrow. Now imagine this, 30 days of this, 15 minutes a day. Nothing heroic, nothing dramatic, just behavioral science plus human curiosity. You don't magically become fluent. You become inevitable. And inevitably, one day, you'll open a video in that language, smile and think, I understood this without even trying. On that day, you'll remember this moment, this first training, this first step, and you'll realize that learning a language was never about talent. It was always about method and present. Now tell me, are you ready to come back tomorrow and repeat? Because your brain only needs you to say yes once a day. And today, you already did. Now drop a simple comment below to lock in today's learning. I train my mind every day. And if you want to go further, tell me, which language are you going to train with this method? Because what you do in the next 15 minutes can shape who you become in the next 15 years. Leave a like, and if you're new here, hit subscribe. There are more videos like this about learning faster, thinking better, and building a mind that works like a living laboratory. And if you like using your brain for something better than memorizing phrases, welcome to the right place.